I knew my family didn't really see me, but nothing prepared me for what my mother said that night. She leaned back in her chair, eyes cold, and told me, "Don't expect anything from us." My brother actually smiled, like he'd been waiting to watch me break. I didn't. I stayed completely still, even as the room tightened around me. Something in the silence felt different, like someone else had finally heard enough. And just when my mother thought she'd won, a chair scraped behind her, slow and deliberate. That was the moment everything shifted. Though none of them realized it yet, my name is Rebecca, and for most of my life, I thought staying quiet was the safest way to survive my own family. I grew up in a small house in Seattle, where the walls were thin, the expectations were heavy, and the affection felt rationed. Mom used to say she treated us equally, but even as a kid, I could see the scales tilt. My brother Daniel got the bigger slices of cake, the newer shoes, the louder praise. I got what was left after the dust settled. I learned early not to ask for much. When Daniel wanted something, a school trip, a new jacket, Mom made it happen, no matter the cost. When I needed help with college applications or a ride to my part-time job, the answer was usually, "You're old enough to figure it out." So I did. I worked late shifts, saved every dollar, and told myself independence was a badge of honor, not a sentence. Grandpa was the single exception. He was steady, patient, and never made me feel like loving me was a chore. His place always smelled like pine and old books. Every time I visited, he'd smile and say, "You look tired." "Sweetheart, sit. Tell me everything." I didn't tell him everything, but he listened to the pieces I was brave enough to share. As I got older, the favoritism didn't fade, it sharpened. Mom spoke about Daniel like he was the sun we all orbited. She covered his unpaid bills, co-signed his leases, bought him out of problems he created. I kept my distance, working downtown in office administration, living small because I never wanted to need anything from them, but the imbalance grew impossible to ignore. Jokes about how Daniel would carry the family name, hints that I should step aside when decisions were made. Even during holidays, I felt like furniture present, useful but unnoticed. Still, I kept showing up, because that's what you do when you hope a family might one day choose you back. When Grandpa invited us all to a winter dinner at Mom's house, I thought it was just another holiday gathering. He'd been tired lately, moving slower, relying on me more for doctor visits and errands. I assumed he just wanted us all together, but the moment I walked into the dining room, the air felt heavy, like everyone already knew a script I hadn't been handed. And I didn't realize the lines they were about to deliver would change everything. By the time dinner started, the tension felt thick enough to chew. Mom moved around the table with the confidence of someone who believed she already owned the night. Daniel lounged in his chair, scrolling on his phone. Grandpa sat quietly, hands folded, eyes sharper than usual. I took my seat near him. The only place that ever felt safe. Mom brought out the food, set the dishes down a little too forcefully, then cleared her throat like she was preparing for a speech. "I think it's time we talk about the future of this family," she began. Daniel straightened up. Grandpa didn't move. She launched into a long explanation about responsibility and keeping things in order, words she used when she meant control. Then she looked directly at me. "Rebecca," she said, sounding bored, "we've agreed that your brother will take care of everything moving forward." I blinked, repeating it slowly to keep my voice even. "Everything?" "Yes," she shrugged. "He's the more stable one, more committed to the family." Daniel smirked like a kid handed someone else's birthday present. I kept my expression still. He liked when I reacted. Mom liked it even more. And me? I asked. Mom didn't hesitate. "Don't expect anything from us." Cold, final, delivered in the same tone someone might use to say, "Pass the salt." The room went silent. Daniel leaned back, satisfied. Mom adjusted her napkin like she'd completed an item on her to-do list. I inhaled slowly. I stayed calm, not defeated, but clear. Something in me finally clicked. I glanced at Grandpa. I expected sympathy. Instead, I saw recognition, focus, quiet disappointment directed at them. Not me. He wasn't going to let this slide, and my mother, without knowing it, had just crossed the one line that would cost her everything. The rest of the dinner continued like nothing happened. They talked, bragged, ignored me. But something inside me was shifting like ice cracking under the surface. In the kitchen, Mom followed me. "You're not upset, are you?" she asked with fake sweetness. "You're independent. You always take care of yourself." I dried my hands. "I heard what you said." She looked relieved. "Good, it's better for everyone this way." Behind her, Daniel watched smugly. "It's not personal, Rebecca. It's obvious. You don't need anything?" "Maybe I don't," I said softly. Mom waved her hand and left the room. When I walked back into the dining room, Grandpa was watching me with an intensity that made my pulse hitch. Not pity, not shock. A decision. He reached toward his pocket, but stopped when Mom returned. Fingers tapping lightly on the table, a habit he had before delivering hard truths. "Dad," Mom said, patting his arm. "We were just discussing how Daniel should take over everything. It's time we made it official." Grandpa's tapping stopped. "Is that so?" "Yes," she smiled. "Rebecca understands." I didn't respond. Grandpa drew in a slow breath. His jaw tightened. His shoulders straightened. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a thick, worn envelope. He set it on the table with a thud that made Daniel flinch. "What's that?" Daniel asked. Grandpa looked at me first, then at them. "That," he said, "is the truth." Mom stiffened. "Dad, what are you talking about?" Grandpa opened the envelope and pulled out papers, bank statements, savings records. And Mom's face drained of color the moment she recognized them. "I spent the last year reviewing everything," he said. "Every payment I made to support my granddaughter. And everything you took." Mom froze. "Dad, I can explain." "No, you can't." He pointed at the papers. "You told me Rebecca refused the help I sent for school. That she didn't want my money. That she never cashed it." Daniel looked confused. "Mom, what?" "But here," Grandpa continued, lifting a page, "are the deposits I made. And here," he lifted another, "are the transfers you made to Daniel. All of it." Daniel's mouth fell open. "What, Mom?" Mom went pale. "Dad, please. You stole from your own daughter," Grandpa said. My stomach dropped. I knew she favored Daniel, but this... Grandpa's voice softened as he turned to me. "You were supposed to finish college comfortably. I gave you enough for books, housing, food. Yet you worked double shifts. You skipped meals." "I didn't know," I whispered. "I know you didn't," he said gently. He stood, steadying himself with his cane. The room froze. "Earlier," he said to Mom, "you told Rebecca not to expect anything from you." Mom's lips trembled. "Dad, I didn't mean good," he said. "Because now you can expect nothing from me." He pulled out a second envelope, crisp, freshly sealed. "This," he said, setting it in front of me, "is my updated will." Mom shook her head wildly. "Dad, no, Daniel needs to grow up," Grandpa snapped. "And you need to live with the consequences of your choices." He looked at me. "Rebecca, you have been the only one who showed me kindness without expecting anything. You cared. You stayed. And they punished you for it." Mom sobbed. Daniel threw his chair back, furious, but Grandpa wasn't finished. "I'm leaving the house, the savings, and everything else. To Rebecca. Effective immediately." Silence, shock, collapse. Mom sank into her chair, shaking. Daniel stared at the floor. Grandpa placed a hand on my shoulder. "It's over," he said, and it was just not in the way any of them expected. The days after were strangely quiet. Mom called repeatedly, each message more frantic. I didn't answer. Daniel complained to the neighbors, insisting everything had been stolen from him. Grandpa, meanwhile, seemed lighter, happier, as if a weight had finally been lifted. At the lawyer's office, the final paperwork was signed. No drama, no bargaining, just truth. When we stepped outside into the cold Seattle air, Grandpa said, being loved shouldn't feel like begging. For the first time, I believed him, even now when I look back. I don't remember the shouting first. I remember his hand on my shoulder, the quiet certainty that I wasn't invisible after all. Losing my family the way I knew them hurt. But gaining the truth set something free inside me. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. Sometimes it stands up slowly, clears its throat, and speaks for you when you're too tired to fight. If this story resonated with you, share your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe. You're not alone.